afternoon. Thanks for coming. Tom, on hindsight, I kind of wish we had dedicated the ice rink, the Fredericks ice rink today, but it would have been better. But we're glad to be here to honor our good friend and former colleague, Tom Fredericks, for a lot of things, for the contributions he made serving the city of Winston-Salem as a staff person in many, many roles, balancing the budget for about 20 years. Even though he kind of stretched a few things to make it balance a couple of times there. Then working as assistant city manager and leading the renovation really of not only the fairgrounds but the whole entertainment complex with the education building, the annex, you didn't do the home and garden building, I don't believe, but all of these things here. Tom had his fingerprint on all of these, working on the master plan. He figured out a way, working with Lois Coakley, our former finance director, and figuring out ways to finance all of these wonderful improvements, and created a lasting memorial, I think, to yourself, Tom, and the work that our citizens can enjoy for many, many years to come. And welcome all of you that are here today, many of Tom's friends and family. Julia, where's you at, Julia? There he is. She went in the back. What are you doing back there? Don't blame me. I think it might be cooler back there. But thanks to all of Tom's friends and former colleagues for being here today. I'm going to ask, by the way, Councilmember Burke called a little bit earlier. She cannot come today. She's got a little issue with her foot. She's not as mobile as she was, so she's asked to send her best to you, Tom. We do have a number of council members here. Councilmember Jeff McIntosh from the Northwest Ward, Councilmember John Larson from the South Ward, and Councilmember Denise Adams from the North Ward. I think Denise is going to represent the council members that are here. So Denise, please come up.
Good afternoon, everybody. I told the mayor, I said, it's hot out here. When you work for the city or when you do anything in your life, and yes, people want to give you the roses before, so you can smell them. That's what this is all about too, Tom. It's not just about, all of you also being a part of our staff and doing such great work for the city. But someone once told me that time is the master of all change. What better way to commemorate your life with the city and the city of Winston-Salem than you got a master timepiece up here that you can look at and the rest of us can look at as well. I want to thank your family and the staff and your coworkers that have worked with you over the years and the community for letting you, we want to let you know that you were important and still are important to us. And as the mayor said, all of this and whatever newness that we got and renovations and the master plan, you can look back and your legacy is you put your fingerprints all over it. So with that, I thank you and I congratulate you. And you got something better than a Rolex.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. I want to steal a line from Bucky Dame. I saw it in a posting. We're talking about the time. And so right now, the fairgrounds will be under Tom time. So I just broke the thing here, so there we go. So let me ask our city manager, Mr. Lee Garrity, who worked with Tom, and Tom worked for him over the years, and so
Tom worked for Tom. Wow, it's great to see so many familiar faces. I was thinking about this clock tower and tell you a little story. I was a young guy in the budget office working for Ann Jones, right, Ann? I didn't have any of this gray hair or this extra weight that the Mayor Pro Tem has made me gain. And Tom would pop in the budget office a lot because he was a former budgeteer. And unlike Al Beatty, Tom always never said anything that might be considered incorrect today. So Tom was good with his stories. But Tom came in and asked if I would help him with this project, the entire renovations of the fairgrounds. And I thought, wow, this is, I'm gonna get out of the office, get out of the office for once, not be just counting beans, and this is gonna be cool. And Tom wants me to, help him make sure we stay within budget. Well, what I found out was, Tom didn't want me to stay within budget. Tom was way out of budget, and Tom wanted me to find more money for him, right, Tom? So, but seriously, it was the first really opportunity I had to do something outside of just the regular budget, and I'm very grateful to Tom over the years. He gave me lots of opportunities, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like Tom and Ann. And this is very, very, very fitting to be named after him. I can remember thinking, It's a lot of money. Tom will probably tell you how much it costs, but it's a lot of money. But it really was what Tom said, that over time, this is an icon. People say, I'll meet you at the clock tower. That's where you find people. And it's made a huge difference. So, Tom, thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Good comments. I did want to recognize Orville Powell's here, former city manager, who hired Tom and brought him here and got the whole thing going. Good Penn State folks here. So, Orville, thank you for being here. The backstory is I was lobbying Orville to hire a guy from the University of Georgia. But Orville was smart enough to hire Tom. So before I call Tom up, I want to ask David Sparks, who is the manager director of the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds here, to make a couple of remarks. So, David?
Thank you. And I'll keep this short because I know it is awfully hot today. But one of my lasting memories of Tom is the red pen he used to use when I would send down documents to him and he would send back to have corrections and things that need to be modified. So the one thing I wish is, Tom, please don't use your red pen on the clock tower. It'd be way too much, but it certainly is an honor, and it was an honor for me to serve under you, and learned an awful lot under you, and learned an awful lot about the city ways of doing things under you. Thank you so much for the opportunities. Thank you for working with us to initiate this capital plan and to make sure that things got done here when we needed to get them done. So thanks very much.
Thank you, David. Well, let's bring the honoree up. The reason we're here to recognize Thomas W. Fredericks and the work he did. So, Tom, please share a few remarks with us.
Oh, my goodness. This has turned out to be far more than I thought it was going to be. I am truly honored to have this facility named for me by City Council. 14 years removed from the city, and not forgotten. Not forgotten. What many of you don't know, but a lot of you remember, I left pretty quickly. I had a retirement party on Wednesday night, November 17th, 2004. Thursday morning at 7 a.m., I was in the heart department at Baptist Hospital having a heart catheterization. And at Friday at noon, I had a quadruple bypass. Never saw my office again for about 6 weeks, so I came to pack things up. So I left kind of hurriedly, but the good Lord has looked out after me. I've tried to do what the doctors have said, and but I am honored. I am truly honored. I'm also extremely gratified to have my family and my friends here. All you as co-workers, I wanted to tell you that since I moved here in 1972, 46 years ago, that you all have been part of Team Fredericks. I couldn't have done and succeeded in my career with the city and in life if it hadn't been for you all. You've all been there for me. Nick Jameson, Orville hired me. Then Orville promoted me. And Orville probably doesn't remember this, but when he offered me the job, I said, Orville, I don't want to stay in this job now for about 2 years. I said, I'm afraid of getting pigeonholed. 12 years later, and then in January of 1987, Bill Stewart elevated me to assistant city manager. And I hope we would keep Bill Stewart in our thoughts and prayers as he goes through his troubled journey that he has right now with all his health issues. But for that 17 years, not only that I was an assistant manager for 17 years, but I was the budget director there for 6. So for 24 years, I worked with Bill Stewart, which was, I felt like, a pretty remarkable record. Only a couple times that don't we kind of get razor thin on some stuff, right, Ian? But it has truly been a pleasure. During that 17 years, I oversaw a lot of different departments, Sam Owen and Garage and Fleet and MISS, but my bread and butter during all of that 17 years was Parks and Recreation and Public Assembly, Convention Center, Coliseum, Fairgrounds, Bowman Gray, and Ernie Shore Field. And I think the city is proud, I hope they are, of the pieces we have left. That things do change. But and I think when Wake Forest bought Ernie Shore Field, they got a much better facility than we started with. And when Winston-Salem State eventually buys Bowman Gray Stadium, I think we gave them a much better facility. But during that period of time, there was a lot. My hair did thin out some dealing with the Coliseum. For some reason, nobody liked to lose money. They kept comparing us to Greensboro and having the Beatles over there or whatever, you know. But the fairgrounds was really my pride and joy. As Alan mentioned, the fairgrounds, the way we see it today, changed completely with the passage of the 1983 bond referendum. That led to some dominoes. We had to find a place to put the annex. And where it's sited today used to be the end of the Midway, the old mud rock Midway, you know. And then led to hiring a company called Bullock Smith and Partners out of Knoxville, Tennessee, who developed the Fairgrounds Master Plan that we started our journey with. And as I was telling Orville, for some reason the citizens, I think it was 88 or 89, Lee, we had a bond referendum with 7 issues on it. 6 of them passed, and the fairgrounds failed by 1,000 votes. And that's when Loris Coakley, our esteemed finance director, kicked in with his creativity and said, well, what if we develop a leasing corporation, right, Lee? And it was because of Loris, and he needs to have the credit that what we have built here today. It was really a joy to work on these projects, to meet people like E. James Straits, who is a very, I think, esteemed person in the industry that he works in. But we got close to the end, and we said, you know, Joines and I had been to Dallas to the state fair, and we said, you know, you've got the big old cowboy there on the fairgrounds, as you say. We'll meet you at the cowboy. But so we came up with this idea of the clock tower. Bill Austin, many of you might remember, was the longtime fair manager. I said, well, Bill, what do you think about a clock tower? Yeah, he said, that would be a pretty good idea. He said, well, what do you think that clock tower might cost? I said, oh, about $50,000, Bill. So we got the fair planners working. They came back, got all the drawings out, showed them to everybody, got the hook into everybody. They said, well, how much is this going to cost? A mere $450,000. That's when I went to see Lee. Okay, I went to see Lee. But if you look at the paradigm of our baseball team moving from Ernie Shore Field that used to draw 160,000 a year to now almost 400,000, that same paradigm affected the fair. We went from about 150,000, didn't we, David, paid attendance, to now 300,000, and we're obviously the second largest fair in North Carolina and the top 50 in the country. Yeah, so there's a lot to be proud of here, and I'm very proud. And again, I thank you all for all your support and love over these last years. And I wouldn't, other than the night I almost got voted out, but I wouldn't do it any different. And so thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to serve the citizens of Winston-Salem. Thank you.